Hello and welcome back to The Point of No Return, a Mandy and Mitch Media production. TPONR is a true crime podcast that dives deep into cold cases, murders, mysteries, and everything in between in various regions. Emphasis on the everything in between because today we're bringing you something a little bit different than what we normally do. I'm one of your co-hosts, Michelle Graham, and my counterpart, Amanda Washington, has been covering the U.S. versus Sean Diddy Combs trial day by day. Last week, she dropped daily recaps from the first 5 days of trial on TikTok. We're talking real-time coverage. In today's episode, we threaded all of those recaps into one mega episode to bring you all of the updates from week 1 of the Diddy trial. Now, this trial is expected to last 10 weeks, so we'll be bringing you different types of coverage from different angles. And if you didn't know, this type of coverage falls under our Courtroom Clarity vertical, where we latch onto an intriguing case on trial and give you live coverage of the court proceedings. Now, before we dive into the recap, I wanted to outline a couple of important details about the case. So Diddy was arrested on September 16th, 2024 by U.S. Homeland Security investigators in Manhattan following a grand jury indictment. Now, I'm going to read you all of the charges he's facing. He's facing several federal charges, including, I'm going to read them directly, racketeering conspiracy. Now, this is the big one, which alleges that Diddy led a criminal enterprise that engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice from at least 2008 to the present. 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. He's being accused of coercing individuals into sexual activities through manipulation, threats, and violence. He's also facing 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Diddy is being charged with transporting individuals across state lines for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. So, of course, Diddy pled not guilty to all of the charges. And he's being held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He's been in there since his arrest. Mandy will take it from here and break down all of the most important details from the courtroom last week. Let's get into it.
Did you know that on average per Diddy freak-off, there were about 10 large bottles of baby oil used? Yeah, me either. So, I'm Amanda from The Point of No Return, a true crime podcast where we talk about anything cold cases, murder, Ricos now, and anything in between. So, let's just jump right in. We are covering the Diddy trial, y'all. So, we didn't get to talk about day 1 of the trial, so I'm going to quickly give you a recap so we can hop right into day 2 because day 2 is filled with a lot of facts, but I want to give you all the facts about day 1 because day 1 was filled with a lot. So, let's just jump right on in. And just so we're aware, viewer discretion is advised. There are a lot of lewd and crazy acts in the next days to come. So just strap yourselves in and brace for what's to come. We already know that Diddy is facing 5 different charges. These charges include conspiracy, racketeering, sex trafficking, also prostitution. So he's entered a not guilty plea, but if he is charged with these crimes, he can face up to life in prison. So here is what the prosecution is alleging. The prosecution is alleging that Diddy is running a criminal crime ring, basically. This is a RICO case. They're saying that he used his businesses to exploit women sexually. Here are the key facts that you need to remember from the opening of the prosecution yesterday. He forced his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. We all know Cassie is me and you. Remember her, right? We know that he forced Cassie allegedly to have sex with him, as well as male escorts in what we know as freak-offs. He also hosted multiple day freak-offs where not only where he would abuse Cassie, but other women and men where he would drug them and abuse them for days on end. So the 2 victims that this case centers around is Cassie as well as a Jane Doe. So in terms of the defense's opening, here's what they had to say. Diddy's defense is not backing down or shying away from the fact that he in fact is violent and that he got violent. They're saying, yes, he has some sexual quirks that are a little weird. He did get violent, especially when he drinks or when he does drugs. But what he is not is a sex trafficker or anybody that is involved in racketeering. He is an honest businessman, and that is what their claim is. They're also saying that Cassie dated Diddy for 11 years and left voluntarily. So on the first day, we also heard from a witness by the name of Israel Flores. Israel is a hotel security guard. He testifies that he saw Cassie with a black eye, and he also testifies that he saw another man in the room with Cassie and Diddy at the time. He also said that Diddy tried to bribe him at the time, but there's no real way to substantiate that because the defense is saying, hey, you also told him if he damages this room, he's going to have to pay for it. So the defense is arguing the money that he tried to give you could also have been for damages for the room. So the second witness is Daniel Phillip, who is a male escort. This male escort is a male escort who slept with Cassie, and he slept with Cassie while Diddy watched in a corner. He said that Diddy also directed and orchestrated the whole thing. He also admitted to witnessing an assault, or what he thinks was an assault, of something he heard in another room. And he said he never reported it because he was afraid of Diddy as well. So that's a quick recap of what happened day one. And another thing to mention about Daniel is he didn't only have intercourse with Cassie once, but several times he was involved in a freak off with them. And also, he said after the first time of the freak off, he peeped that it was Diddy. Diddy was in the corner. He was masturbating, and he had on a white robe, but he had a bandana like covering his face, but he knew that it was his voice. So that's just something to keep in mind. Just a random tidbit that I wanted to add. Did you know that during one of the freak offs, Diddy had Cassie swimming in a pool of baby oil? I'm Amanda from the Point of No Return, True Crime Podcast, where we talk about everything cold cases, crimes, murder, anything in between. Let's just jump right in. Today we are talking about the Diddy trial, day 2 of the Diddy trial to be exact. We have a lot to cover, so buckle up, strap in. There's a lot to cover. So if you want to know what happened on day 1, go back to my last video. That's what happened on day 1. Today we're on day 2 though. So we're going to cut straight to the chase, and we're going to talk about how Cassie was on the stand and what exactly happened while she was on the stand. Had to make sure my microphone was on. So while on the stand, Cassie says that her and Diddy were in a relationship for a little over 10 years, from 2007 to 2018. She says that she would suffer physical abuse from him often, quoting, this is what she said, that he would smash me in my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head if I was down. Okay. They also asked Cassie, how did you get into freak offs, girl? What's the tea about the freak offs? So she testified that the freak offs began in the first year of their relationship and that they would happen frequently. So she also testified that the freak offs would entail her or Diddy hiring an escort, and then her involving herself in intercourse with said escort while Diddy watched. Most of the time, Diddy was orchestrating this whole thing from top to bottom. Okay? There's another quote. She says, hiring an escort and setting up this experience so that I can perform for Sean. He took it as a performance. If you're not familiar with Cassie or with Diddy or how they even linked up, Cassie was actually signed to Diddy's record label, which we all know is Bad Boy Records. She said the beginning of their relationship was very platonic because she had a few rough performances and he basically like looked out for her and was like trying to help her out. So let's fast forward to the intimacy. So they didn't become intimate until her 21st birthday. And it's just so interesting because when you think about being 21 years old and how young and impressionable you are at age 21, and I think so often we think like 21-year-olds are grown. And even though legally you are grown, you're still so young and impressionable. Anyway, her first time kissing Diddy was at her birthday party in Vegas. She said the kiss was unwarranted. She actually went to the bathroom and cried about it because she was like, what the hell? What the helly? I didn't want to kiss that man. It was weird. But after her 21st birthday, she actually grew very comfortable with him because he was fun. He was cool. He would invite her out to his hotel in New York at the time because his house was getting renovated, and they would like hang out, kick it. She said he was cool. He was a good guy to hang out with at the time. Because he was entertaining her, he made her feel special. She was like, this is P. Diddy. And not a lot of people get this type of time with him. So of course I feel special that I get to spend this type of time with him. Who wouldn't? Is what she's thinking. At the time, she actually described herself as being sexually inexperienced. So she said that when her and Diddy actually linked up, she was dating somebody else at the time. And on this one particular day that he visited the New York hotel, he gave her oral sex. Let me also give y'all a disclaimer. This is going to be graphic. The rest of this from here on out, graphic. Proceed with caution. Also mentioned that she was in a relationship with somebody else. If y'all know hip hop and y'all know a little extra like I do, she was dating Ryan Leslie at the time, okay? And if you know Cassie, you also remember that song, I'm addicted to you. I'm addicted to you. That's Ryan Leslie and Cassie. Just a tidbit. I'm trying to connect the dots for y'all. Eventually, Cassie, Diddy, and a group of other people take a trip to Miami. During this trip, they get high as a kite. They're doing ecstasy, coke, and some more stuff. And during this trip is the first time they actually are involved in intercourse. Cassie also testified that soon thereafter they were involved in intercourse, this is when she started to fall in love with Diddy. So then this is when she broke ties with her management company and also her boyfriend, Ryan Leslie. So the life that she started to experience now with Diddy was fun. She was traveling, she was going all over the place. But then this soon came to an end because he started getting crazy and abusive with her, according to her testimony. So she said he would have mood swings often. He would call her nonstop. He would even have his security guards reach out to her to try and get her attention. This also included finding out where she was in person. Mind you, this whole time, she is still an artist on his record label, an artist that signed a deal that was supposed to get 9 albums. 9 albums. She also moved to LA to be closer to Diddy at the time. She lived within walking distance of his home. Career was a flop. She also testified about the freak-offs. So here's the nitty-gritty about the freak-offs. She said that the freak-offs will last anywhere between 36 to 72 hours, with the longest freak-off ever being over 4 days long. She said that Diddy was also the director of the freak-offs. I mean, down to the lighting. Down to the lighting of the freak-offs. This man was doing the most. She also testified that she would stay up days at a time because they were so high on ecstasy and coke and other drugs that she was able to stay up. Another interesting tidbit, she said that they used aliases, of course, when they would check into these hotels. Diddy's alias was Frank White. Do y'all remember in I Need a Girl Part 2 when he said, "Now let's make love while we listen to Frank White"? This is what I need. You said that in your song. Why would you use that as your alias? Anyway, she testified that basically the freak-offs were like a job for her because it was happening so often and so frequently. Here's a quote she testified. She said, eventually it became like a job. Pretty much, he would set up the contacts. He had the hotel room and all of that. But in the beginning, he set it up. He was in charge. So she also mentioned that she would find escorts on pages like Backpage or even Craigslist. And then they would vet these people. But she said Sean, aka Diddy, would always have to vet the escorts. He always had to go and make sure that he saw who the escorts were before she selected them and brought them into the hotel room. Escorts were paid anywhere between $1,500 to $6,000. Also in the courtroom today, they shared text messages as well as photos of some of these escorts from freak-offs, and some of these escorts from freak-offs crossed state lines. So they may have lived in another state and they flew them out for freak-offs. Cassie also mentioned that freak-offs were patterned in routine. So it was like a step-by-step process. Every single time that they had a freak-off, she knew what was coming next. So I'm gonna read y'all a step-by-step process. She said they would start with oil and then touching. Here comes that baby oil again. The more and more that I find out about this case and about what Diddy was on, y'all, he was obsessed with baby oil. It would start with baby oil and touching. After that, she said they would engage in oral sex, progressing to intercourse. And it was a gradual process. She said she would have to ask him before moving on to the next step in hopes that she can hurry up the process because it was just taking too long. He was controlling the whole situation. He was directing it. That is what she testified today in court. So here's some of what was in the freak-off toolkit. Baby oil, lubricant, condoms, just to name a few, outside of the ecstasy and other drugs that they use. So I use this fact in my first video, but per freak-off, on average, there were at least 10 large bottles of baby oil used per freak-off. So of course you can imagine if these were happening in hotel rooms were trashed by the time that these freak-offs were over, and Diddy would get charged thousands and thousands of dollars, astronomical numbers, to the point that Cassie said that she remembers the numbers being so big and that Diddy would just end up having to pay these crazy amounts of money back to the hotels because he would trash these hotel rooms. She mentioned also being very humiliated by a lot of these acts, but she felt coerced and like she had no other choice because she didn't know what he was going to do. There was a mention of golden showers performed on her by either Diddy or other escorts, and to the point where she felt like she was choking and she had to put her hands up to physically say, I need you to stop. He was also in control of the way that she looked. So down to her getting waxed, the way her fingernails looked, he either wanted them in French tips or he wanted them to be white, and even down to her body piercings. Also, he wanted her to wear extremely high heels during these freak-offs. And here's just a random little tidbit to throw into the end. In the middle of a freak-off, Diddy security comes in and they say, hey, down the street from where we are, Suge Knight was just spotted. He gets up and he leaves. And she said that this kind of spooked her because she was like, wait, are y'all going to kill him? Or what y'all about to go do? So she's not sure what happened after that. But there was some Suge Knight stuff happening in talks today, in her testimony. She also testified at the end of the case today that the 2016 incident that we all saw in that hotel on camera was her trying to leave a freak off. When she tried to leave this freak off, Diddy tried to stop her, and that is what we saw in the hallway. She wanted to leave because she had a very big movie premiere the next 2 days, and she wanted to prepare for that. She didn't want to participate in the freak off, and he was punishing her. He wanted to deny her that. So he said, no, get back in this room. Let's go. So when the hotel security got there yesterday, I was thinking, oh, this was Diddy's security that was in the room. You remember he said it was another man in the room, but he never wrote it down on witness statement because the man never interacted with him. He never said anything. The man was an escort for the freak off. That man was the escort for the freaking freak off. That's who that was in the room with them. So there's just so much unfolding. They said that today the jury also saw the video again from the hallway for probably about the 5th time since this case has started, and it's only day 2. So more details to come, more things to come. Leave me some comments. What y'all think? What's going on? What y'all got questions about? I'm tapped in. Until next time, I'm Amanda with the Point of No Return. I'll be back with more updates. A successful freak off is one we remember. That is a text message that Diddy sent Cassie during the trajectory of their relationship. So he sent this message because they were on ketamine. Oftentimes she was on ketamine because she would disassociate from the freak offs because she didn't want to remember. I'm Amanda from the Point of No Return True Crime Podcast, where we are covering Diddy trial day 3. Let's jump in. Just as a very clear indication, I'm going to tell y'all today, this is going to be in 2 parts because we have a lot to cover. Cassie was literally on the stand all day long today, and there's a lot to unearth here. So for a random little background, all of his sons were there today. Quincy, Justin, and Christian were there. His 3 daughters weren't there. Delilah and Jesse were said to be going to prom this week, so they are said to be flying back home, if y'all cared. Okay, so of course we know that we have all of the sketches because there are no actual media cameras in there. So this is what Diddy is supposed to be looking like today. He's supposed to be having on khaki and white, and this is Cassie on the stand in the black. If you can see that little sketch, that is supposed to be them at the Intercontinental LA, and we are taking it back to 2016. I'm about to flip over to an actual still of the video from 2016 so you can see what I mean. Okay, so the case will open up with Prosecutor Emily Johnson actually talking to Cassie about what happened in this incident, again, with her and Diddy in the hallway of the Intercontinental in LA in the incident that went down. So the prosecutor is asking Cassie for a recap on what happened once the security guard was able to intervene and she was able to leave the hotel. Here are some text messages from Diddy that she was able to read out loud. He's texting her nonstop back to back. He says, call me. Yo, please call me. I got 6 kids. Please call me. Yo, please call. I'm surrounded. Please call. For my kids, please help. So on her Uber ride home, she texts him back and she says this: I have a black eye and a fat lip. You are sick for thinking that it's okay for what you've done. Please stay far away from me. These photos were also shown to the jury. By the time Cassie made it back to her apartment, her friend actually met up with her and they called the police. By the time they called the police arrived. She didn't give up Diddy's name as the person who attacked her, so it was not much the police could do. Cassie then would testify and say that Diddy actually showed up to her door later on that day. He was banging, kicking, screaming, anything he could do to try and beat down her door to get inside. He actually even sent over some of his assistants to also get her out the house, but nothing would work. She didn't come outside. Another tidbit that if you go on TMZ and actually look at the video, you can see a longer clip than what we've normally probably seen on social media or on the news of Diddy kind of dragging her through the hallway. In this clip, you can see him kind of throwing a vase at her. I'm gonna show you what that vase looks like. So this photo got released today. Diddy in the video, he's actually sitting in this white chair that's right here. And while he's sitting in that chair, she's in this corner. And in that corner right here is where she's able to actually call the security guard and say, hey, I need help. And while she's over there, that's when he throws that vase at her. And so if you, like I said, if y'all go on TMZ, you can see the full 15-minute clip. And you can't see it because it's off camera, but however, there's a mirror that reflects it. So you can kind of see in the corner what's happening if you want to kind of tune into that. So Cassie would also testify that a few days after this incident, she was the star of a movie called The Perfect Match. And that is why she wanted to leave the freak off and she kind of wanted to do her own thing. she was focused on herself and on her career. So in this picture, she said that she actually wore a lot of heavy makeup on her body and on her face, and that you can kind of see a bit of bruising that is on her leg as well as her thigh. And it is a piece of her thigh that's covered up by the dress where you can't see a large bruise that is there. But during this party, she was actually bruised up pretty badly. And this is a picture that was entered into evidence today and was also saw by the jury. So you guys are also seeing this photo as well. Okay, we're gonna move on. Now we're gonna talk about freak offs. So Cassie said that after a while, it actually became her job to coordinate the freak offs. She would pay the escorts with Diddy's money. So he would give her the money to then exchange, give the escorts the cash for the freak offs. She used the ketamine to disassociate. So also, if you guys don't know, a large dose of ketamine is also used in veterinary science with animals, also horse tranquilizers. So it can cause your body to go into psychosis, anything like that. So ketamine is also just like not a drug to be messing around with at all. Cassie testified that whenever Diddy would get mad with her, he would threaten that he would actually release footage of freak offs. She gave an example of this by saying they were flying home from the Cannes Film Festival and they were flying commercial. During this time, he thought that during the trip, Cassie had stolen some drugs from him. So the whole flight home, he played videos of her at freak offs that she previously said that he needed to delete. So she was under the impression that the videos were gone and they were still on his phone. He threatened to release them. She then went to dinner with him, trying to smooth things over once they got back to New York. And then after dinner, proceeded to have another freak off with him just to appease him. Her quote was, "I didn't want to feel scared anymore. He could put those videos out and ruin everything and embarrass me." So again, a theme that we saw yesterday and that we're seeing again today is that she is saying and testifying that she is in fear of what he can do to her life, to her career, and to her livelihood. So she is just trying to stay with him bit by bit, just so she can maintain some kind of normalcy in life, or what she deems as normalcy, I guess. But it's not really normalcy because she's having to participate in freak offs that she does not like. There was also text message proof that prosecutor Emily Johnson shared from 2013 of Cassie asking Diddy to delete the freak off videos, and he said all good, indicating that he would delete them, and he in fact never deleted them. Okay, so remember I said that the freak offs in my prior video, they would last anywhere between 36 to 72 hours, with the longest one being about 4 days long. So naturally, you would spend a lot of your time recovering from the freak offs. So today in court, Cassie also testified about what the recovery was like from freak offs. So she said that both of them would have to take IV liquids, get massages, and also specific meals from a chef just so they can kind of rejuvenate. And again, I know I didn't say this, but if I haven't said this by now, viewer discretion is advised on all of these videos. This case is graphic in its nature. Its nature is SE driven. So this is not child or work friendly. Okay. Cassie also spoke about her off and on again relationship with opiates and her usage of them. She said that she used them a lot because she just wanted to be numb, and that Sean would actually provide them for her. Because of her regular drug use, she also testified that she had pretty regular gastrointestinal issues as well as common UTIs that came all the time. She said she actually took UTI medication so frequently that it actually stopped working. So one thing that she testified about was that the Cipro medicine actually stopped working. And the thing is, if you're a lady or you know anything about UTI medication, when you take UTI medication, you cannot engage in activities down there, or you're going to get reinfected because, you know, everything is so close together. So the fact that she was still engaging in activities after she was already having a UTI is just it's just crazy, and it's just unsanitary. That's abuse. So another thing that she also said is that she suffered from SORs. Put the common sense together, on her tongue and in her mouth because of the substance abuse, as well as the oral activity that was going on in her mouth, that was happening so often. She also mentioned going to SX clubs, and at those clubs, her and Diddy would go there and watch people, but also he would have her hook up with escorts. It was one escort in particular that they would take with them, often Jules, and he would request Jules for Cassie most of the time when they were going. She also mentioned that she knew Jules, and so in a way she found comfort with Jules because she knew him, you know? So in 2017, she also texted him saying that she wanted to stop doing the freak offs because he was treating her like Ike Turner. So that was something else that was shared today. So, you know, they showed images of the freak offs today in court. Of course, the media or nobody else was able to see them, only the jury, the attorneys, and Cassie as the witness. But it got cracking in there today. So stay tuned for part 2, because in part 2, we are going to dive really deep into the latter years of their relationship, which will go 2013 well into 2018 when they broke up, and then the aftermath of where we are now. And there's some really crazy allegations and things that are going to be said. So I'm going to fill y'all in on some more in part 2. So until next time, I'm Amanda from The Point of No Return. We have a lot to discuss. Okay, so we're back with day 3, part 2 of the Diddy trial, and we're going to jump right in. I'm Amanda, for those who don't know, from the Point of No Return True Crime Podcast, and we're talking about 2013 up until about present day of Cassie and Diddy's relationship. So we know that back in 2013 they got into some physical altercations. Well, before 2013, but right now we're talking about 2013. So in 2013 they got into a physical altercation, and during that time she was asleep and he was expecting for her to be packing for a trip that they were going on. She had some friends that were staying at her house, and at the time he storms in, he starts attacking her. The friends attack him, and then she ends up falling down. During this altercation, she hits her eye up here by her eyebrow, which you can see in this photo on the side of her bed, and Diddy zooms her off to a plastic surgeon with his security guard. So she gets some sutures and she ends up healing from this. However, she sends him a picture of it after the fact and says, "So you don't forget." Another thing that the prosecution established today was the fact that in one altercation, Cassie in fact hit Diddy first. She said one time she punched him as hard as she could because he called her a slut, and after that she said he basically blacked. His eyes turned really black, and he stomped her out in her face as hard as he could, and she dropped to the back of the Escalade floor in his car, and he did this all the way into the point of them reaching his house. This incident happened in front of Diddy's security guard by the name of Roger Bond. Roger took Cassie out of the car when they got to Diddy's house. Once they reached Diddy's house, Cassie said she looked at herself in the mirror. She could barely recognize herself. She was vomiting and had knots all over her face. When Diddy saw the damage he did, she said he began to freak out, and he sent her away to a hotel to recover for about a week. She also recalled not only seeing him abuse her, but other staff members. And of course, we know that he was abusing other staff members and people that worked for him. We saw it in real time on stuff like Making the Band. Even though, you know, this was a key back in the day, let's be honest, making the people walk across that bridge for cheesecake and doing all this other kind of crazy stuff, singing for beds, is crazy work. Just so we're clear. It's crazy work. So I have this picture here of Kid Cudi because we're on to him next. So in 2011, Cassie said that she briefly dated Kid Cudi. Diddy later found out about her dating Kid Cudi because he went through her phone during a freak off. This is an incident that she actually highlighted in her 2023 lawsuit against Diddy. She testified today in court that Diddy found an email between Cassie and Cudi's staffers about a toiletry bag that belonged to Cassie. She said that he was so pissed he lunged towards her with a bottle opener in between his fingers, and that she actually managed to get away. Another tidbit from the lawsuit, she also talked about how Diddy threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car, and sometime soon thereafter his car actually blew up. So back to the testimony. She said that after this debacle happened with him lunging at her, she leaves, she goes to talk to Cudi, and she then tries to smooth things over with Diddy because of course she's still working with him, and when she tries to go smooth things over, he knocks her down to the ground and he kicks her in the back, abuses her again. He also at that time threatened to release a freak off tape of her. She was able to leave him at this point in time, and by the time she got back to her hotel room, also, let me back up. She was also using a burner phone at this point in time. she knew she was in the trenches. She was using a burner phone. So by the time she got back to her hotel room, she said that when she came back, she walked into a room that was filled with fecal matter, if you know what I mean, feces and urine all over the place, including the bathroom and in other places in the room that had not been cleaned up. This incident happened right before Christmas, and when she went to Connecticut to visit her mother before Christmas, her mom actually took pictures of her body with bruises all over it. She told her mom that this was the first time that this actually happened and that Diddy was the one who did it. While in Connecticut for the holidays, Cuddy came to visit her, but she actually broke things off with him because she said it was dangerous for the both of them for them to be together. After Cuddy's car is blown up, Cuddy, Cassie, and Diddy meet up. Cuddy asks Diddy about the car being blown up. Diddy's response is, "What car?" So he denies being involved in the car blowing up at all. Cassie testified that she wedged a knife in a door handle because Diddy kept showing up to her house unannounced. So she said she wanted to be protected. Her quote was this: "Kill two birds with one stone, lock it and have a weapon." On August 2018, Diddy meets up with Cassie for a closure conversation. She said that he was playful, he was romantic at this time, and that the date was pretty pleasant. At the end of the date, he actually offered to drive her home, and she took him up on the offer. At the end of this, he actually goes into her home, and sadly, viewer discretion is advised at this point because he enters her home and her. She testifies that she remembers crying and she remembers happening very fast to the point that she doesn't even know if he recognized that she was crying. She said that he finished inside of her and that he got up and left after that. She said that she was intimate with him one other time after that, voluntarily, after a friend's birthday party. And this was a quote that she said, "We'd been together for 10 years. You don't just turn feelings like that off that way." So after that, she said that she talked to him a few other times, 2018, checking in, sending love, nothing crazy. The last time that they were in the same room would be at Kim Porter's funeral in 2018, until now at this trial. So moving the timeline up to 2019, Cassie would also testify that Diddy still continued to harass her at this point in time. He was sending her threatening messages like, "If I were you, I would give me my money." Money about what, you might ask? I was wondering the same thing. So Cassie testified that the money was because Diddy wanted a reimbursement for her personal trainer. Who was her personal trainer? Her current husband, Alex Fine. He also let her know that he had iPads full of her skeletons and that she better not be threatening him. Her response to him was, "Do you want me to tell the truth? It's way deeper than iPads." She ain't lied. So as we know, Cassie goes on to marry Alex and they now have 2 children, and she's also pregnant currently with their 3rd child. Fast forwarding to 2023. So in 2023, Cassie recounts going to trauma therapy. She was filming a music video with another artist and she said she kept having horrible flashbacks. She said she felt like she didn't want to be alive anymore, and when she went home from the shoot, she was talking to Alex about it. She told him that he can actually raise the family without her and that she was no longer needed. She said she couldn't endure the pain anymore and she actually wanted to walk out in traffic and harm herself, but he wouldn't let her. So she checked into a rehab, and after she completed the program with the help of her mother, she started writing a book about the abuse and the freak-offs and the things that she endured during her 11-year relationship with Diddy. She says she wrote the book because she wanted him to understand the pain that he put her through. She had her attorney send it to his team, but she heard back that it wasn't taken seriously at all. She testified she wanted to be compensated for the many, many years in the pain. So in November of 2023, she filed a civil lawsuit accusing him of and several years of abuse. The lawsuit was settled in 24 hours. She originally wanted $30 million for that book. She got $20 million for this lawsuit. The prosecution asked her why she was testifying in the federal trial. She said, "I'm here to do the right thing. I can't carry this anymore. The shame, the guilt." And I've seen some comments about this, that Cassie is suing him or something like that. And just to set the record straight, This is a case that is being brought on by the United States government. So this case is literally the United States versus Sean Combs. Just so we're clear, okay? Cassie is a witness in this, okay? Okay, so as we ramp up for tomorrow, Cassie is going to be back on the stand, but it's going to be cross-examination time. So what we're looking forward to tomorrow is Diddy's defense actually cross-examining her and asking her some questions. So they got ahead of a few things today, like Cassie actually putting her hands on him or even sending him a text message on Father's Day saying, I can't wait till we have babies. So until next time, there's a lot to unpack here. Leave me some comments. I'm Amanda. Talk soon. Here's everything you need to know about day 4 of the Diddy trial. He OD'd in 2012 at the Playboy Mansion. I'm Amanda from the Point of No Return True Crime Podcast. We got a lot to discuss, so let's just jump right on in. We started today with a cross-examination where Diddy's defense is cross-examining Cassie, and they started right on time. Today, the jury was shown several emails and text messages from early on in their relationship and also all the way up until 2017. So y'all know I'm coming with some quotes and some facts, so let's start with some text messages from 2009. Some of the messages that I read were pretty lewd and some of them were actually censored, so I didn't get to see all of them, but I'll read you some the best that I can, and as you already know, viewer discretion, listener discretion, all that great stuff is advised. Cassie testified that some of these exchanges in 2009 were off of a BlackBerry, so we already know that this is a throwback. I miss a BlackBerry. Anyhow, this was 2.5 years into their relationship, and the messages read, some of them saying that Cassie couldn't wait to see him, she loved him, she couldn't imagine life without him, and Diddy also expressed some of the same love to Cassie, that he loved her too, that his life is consumed with her, and that he never knew that love could be like this. In another text, he also texted her saying, I love you so much, it makes me cry. And she responded, and in that message, she called him Pop Pop, which I thought was very interesting because that was a name that he wanted Cassie to call him, but she said that she didn't want to call him. That is what she testified in court, because that was a name that she called her grandfather, and did he do that? Something else that the defense really tried to establish today was the fact that they had a loving relationship. So they shared a lot of these emails and text messages to kind of show you the camaraderie and the relationship and the rapport that the two had. His defense attorney, Anna Estevao, actually laid the groundwork to kind of say, hey, Cassie was involved in a lot of these freak-offs willingly, and she liked them, and these are the messages that she used to back her point up. The text exchange starts with Diddy, and it says, it makes me so happy that you would fly to ATL to see me, with a number of exclamation points, and he calls himself a lucky man. I love you, I miss you, I can't wait to hold you. And then she responds and says, I'm a very lucky woman, I miss you so much, I'd fly wherever to see you. So that was one message, and then there was an April 2010 email that was shared, and Cassie says that she also got annoyed with Diddy's travels because she didn't get to see him. The message reads, I haven't talked to you at all, in all caps. I know you can take 3 minutes out of your day to talk to me, and you don't even try. You're in too much of a rush to get me off the phone. So messages like these were also an attempt to kind of paint that maybe she was jealous, or that she can get a little crazy as well, and that he was not the only one that had a temper at times. Again, remember I said that they're also trying to implicate that she enjoyed freak-offs and that she liked them. Here's why. His defense also brought out other messages from 2009, the very beginning of their relationship, showing that she would coordinate some of these freak-offs. So she said, it can take place wherever. I'm always ready for a freak-off, LOL. This was a text message that Diddy's attorney read out loud in court. Cassie said that this kind of exchange was normal between the two, but she also said that she enjoyed having intercourse with these male escorts in order to please Diddy. She said freak-offs felt right earlier in the relationship, but then her feelings around them began to change. So his defense also brought out another text message. This text message was from March 2017. It said, I love our freak-offs when we both want it. So of course they asked her, what is this about? So she said that she would say this basically to just say words at this point. She was saying anything to get him out her face. I'm saying anything to appease him is basically what she's saying yet again. So what they also established today too was a lot of push and pull between Cassie saying she liked freak offs or she didn't via text or email. And this was all in writing, of course. So here's a direct quote from a text in 2009. She said, "When we used to freak off, we were so in love. There were no questions asked. It felt right. It literally made sense. It was the next step of our sex life together." But then she said she started to feel like an object of his fantasy. She started to feel a little dirty and grimy as opposed to sensual and spontaneous. The defense also read an email from 2007 where Cassie described herself as sneaky for sneaking around with Diddy on Ryan Leslie, who was her boyfriend at the time. So we talked about Ryan Leslie from the other day. If you're not sure about him, go back to day 1/day 2 and you'll hear about that. Anyhow, she testified that she took a romantic trip to Miami with Diddy. We talked about this too. This was the first time they actually had intercourse. So she said that she led Ryan Leslie to believe that she was going there for an event. However, she was going there to kick it with Diddy. She even made up a flyer. Well, she said she didn't make it up. Somebody else made it up. But she testified that there was a flyer made up for this whole weekend just so Ryan Leslie would think that she was going there for work. The defense also wanted to establish that Cassie had a zeal for older guys who were in the music industry that could possibly help advance her career. So they brought up the fact that Diddy was 17 years older than her and that Ryan Leslie was also 10 years older than her and that she dated both of them very early on in her life. So for the last 2 days, we've heard a lot of things about Cassie feeling forced to do things or like she was coerced to do things. However, today, the defense presented some evidence from text messages in 2009 where the song sounded a little bit different from text messages that Diddy had sent her. So here's one in a thread where he said to Cassie, "I want you to feel safe and let go sexually." He also said, "I want to do what you want me to do." He also said in another message that was referred to after a freak off, she said that she had done a lot of DICKs and a lot of partying, and he responded, "Damn, are you sick? I'm sorry." Yeah, she's sick. What? Like what? But in another combo, he also says to her, "If you're not into it, no stress, no worries." This is also y'all Diddy sketch for the day if you want to see it. The sketches have been taking me out, which is just a sidebar, but here's your Diddy sketch for the day. So back to the OD. In 2012, Diddy and Cassie went to a sex club, and then after they left the sex club, they went to the Playboy Mansion where Diddy OD'd. She took him to a hospital, and that is where they said, "Hey, he overdosed, babe." The defense did a really good job of highlighting that these two were dependent heavily on drugs most of their relationship. Cassie confessed that Diddy's drug of choice was MDMA or ecstasy. Also with them experimenting with psychedelics, and then with him going through withdrawals pretty frequently. Another interesting tidbit that we heard about today was Kim Porter. We've heard Diddy say many times that Kim Porter was the love of his life, who is the mother of his 4 children. She died in 2018 due to pneumonia. We often saw Kim and Diddy together even during the timeline of Diddy and Cassie supposed to be together. She testified that she was upset to know that they would spend holidays and things like that together with their children, even though he made it seem like their romantic relationship was long over. The defense also shared text messages of Cassie writing Diddy saying how she wanted to also have a family with him. "I've been at the edge of tears this whole week. I don't think that you sympathize with my feelings. I understand you feeling like you need to protect your children, but after a while, it's like, for what? They've never known you and Kim to be together, unless there's something that I just don't know about. They were babies when we started dating." So again, trying to establish that jealousy. Speaking of jealousy, Kid Cudi was brought back in the mix today too. Cassie testified that Diddy actually introduced her to Cudi in 2011. At the time, her and Diddy were on a break, but her and Cudi were supposed to be working on music together. And during that time, she actually got a burner phone so she could talk to Cudi because she knew that Diddy was still going to be in her shit. And she was also still doing freak offs with him on the side because she said that it was her job. If you want to know more about the Kid Cudi story, go back to yesterday's story. There was also mention of other women that he dated, including a woman named Gina, and also a breakup in 2015 between the couple when she went to South Africa and she saw him online with another woman, and also a mention of her possibly dating Michael B. Jordan and him being jealous about that as well. They ended this day talking about the 2016 incident again and kind of alluding to the fact that Diddy may have been going through MDMA withdrawal during the time of the incident at the hotel. They also set the record straight about this one thing. Hear me loud and clear, y'all, because I've seen this in the comments. That baby oil did not have drugs in it. I repeat, the baby oil did not have any type of drugs in it. It was regular baby oil. Cassie testified it didn't have no drugs in it, okay? So what's next? What are we set to see? Cassie will still be on the stand tomorrow. Hopefully she will be finished tomorrow. And the next witness that we are set to see is Don Richard. If you don't know who Don Richard is from Making the Band. Also, Day 26, we in the car, we ride slow. But she also filed a lawsuit against Diddy a few years ago. She also said that she has been a witness to Diddy hitting and abusing Cassie as well, and that she's also suffered a few things at the hands of Diddy as well. So she may be on the stand tomorrow, maybe not, or we can look forward to it happening next week. But until next time, let me know what y'all think. I'm Amanda from the Point of No Return True Crime Podcast, and this was day 4 of the Diddy trial. See ya.
Happy Friday, friends. What a week it's been. Let's jump right into it. Here's a direct quote. Don Richard says, Sean Combs was kicking her in the head and body, then dragged her up the first floor, glass breaking and yelling. I was scared for her and for me too. She testified today at the very end of trial day 5. We have a lot to uncover. I'm Amanda from the Point of No Return True Crime Podcast, and we are talking the Diddy trial, day 5, the end of the first week. This is probably going to be in 2 parts, but before I really get jumping and get started, I just want to say thank you to y'all because y'all have supported the hell out of us this week, and we have so many new followers. So if you're new here, welcome. Hey, what's up? I'm not going to stay too long on that because we got a lot to talk about. Okay, here's your sketch of the day. We'll go back to Don a little later, but I just had to get that out the way because I know a lot of y'all were looking forward to Danny Kane and whatever Don had to say. I know it's been rumored that Aubrey is also one of the witnesses, but we're not quite sure just yet. I haven't heard that officially, just rumored. Okay, so day 5 was definitely a little spicy. It opened up with a little back and forth between the prosecution and the defense, and with the judge kind of telling them to get it together. Y'all keep introducing new stuff that may not even be admissible. It's new text messages, new videos, new things y'all keep wanting to show me and show the jury, show Cassie, show each other. I'm not having it. So the day actually started with them showing Cassie, by them, I mean the defense, showing Cassie a video of Diddy while he was in rehab. And the videos of him walking outside, allegedly in a park, in the wilderness, in the woods, and he's talking about God. And he sends the video to Cassie. They wanted this video to be entered into evidence because they're saying that this was their evidence to remind Cassie, hey, you said that Diddy never went to rehab, but he sent you this video saying that he went to rehab. So remember this? So the video was reviewed by Cassie, but the evidence wasn't entered in to the jury. So here's some of what they heard in terms of the audio, because no one in the court actually saw the video. What they heard was Diddy saying, just keeping you posted. As I grow, I want you to know I'm growing and I want you to grow with me. So this video was actually sent in 2016, about a month after the altercation at the Intercontinental LA. So I'm not going to lie, a lot of what the defense did was repetition. They were very redundant, and that's what I'm about to be today a little bit. I'm going to take y'all back to the Intercontinental in 2016. I'm tired of hearing about it too. We finna get off of it, I think, for now. Maybe not. I don't know what's to come. We still got 7 more weeks. So today, not so focused on the direct part of the altercation, but the aftermath. So there were some text messages that were sent a few days after the altercation. And here's what Cassie sent to Diddy via text. She said, when you get effed up the wrong way, you always want to show me that you have the power and knock me around. I'm not a rag doll. I'm someone's child. And speaking of knocking, he had the nerve to text her a few days later and say that he basically wanted to knock boots with her. She testified in court today that she did think it was a little odd that after they had such a large altercation that he would want to hook up. So her text response to him was, we need a different vibe than Friday at the Intercontinental. Diddy said, F Friday. I don't even want to do that. Cassie said, LOL, true. That was her response. In another text message that followed, he kind of said that he loved her. She responds saying that she loved him too. And that was the end of that conversation. They also brought up another potential relationship that Cassie could have been in August of 2016. They keep also bringing up other relationships that Cassie could have been in. And this one in particular was with an NFL player. They never disclosed who, but they did say that Diddy was jealous at the time. They were riding in the car, and Diddy actually stole her phone out of her hand and ran out of the car so he could go through the phone. And he called the NFL player while he was away from Cassie with her phone. Cassie ended up making it home without her phone. Her mother was there. Her mom ended up calling the police. They didn't go into detail about the police involvement with this matter, but Cassie did say she got her phone back later on that day. They did also make mention in general when Diddy was pissed with her, he would take anything from her. So that included her phone, her keys, her passport. Another piece of shocking audio that they played today was Cassie threatening a man in 2014 who allegedly had a sex tape of her. So she says, "It's my effing life. I will kill you. I will kill you. I will cut you up. I will hide you. I've never killed anyone in my life, but I will kill you. And it's not going to be my hands. There's not going to be blood on my hands. It's going to be someone else's." So they also asked Cassie about a rehab center that she went to at one point in time because she needed help with her opioid addiction and medication that she still takes because of her opioid addiction. So this particular rehab center also specializes in sex addiction and sex compulsion. So the defense asked her, "Did you go for that?" And she replied to them and she said, "No, I didn't go for that. It was for the opioids." The defense also asked her, "Does she hate Diddy?" And her response was simply no. I'm going to read you a quote. She said that she doesn't hate Diddy, and the quote is this: "I have love for the past and what it was." So she made it very clear that she doesn't hate him at all. She doesn't, harbor any hate in her heart towards him. Cassie also testified today that their official breakup date was in August of 2018. If you're wondering who this is the Gina that we've heard about so many times over the last few days, and this is the reason why they broke up. She said that she was tired of being put last and not being put first and being one of his many girlfriends, and she was tired of it. She was quoted saying, "You lied to me. She never went away. It was the nail in the coffin." The woman that she was referring to was Gina. So Diddy actually responded to this text message. He says, "Can I not get a chance to make things right? It seems like you're blaming everything on me. Have I not taken care of you?" Cassie then responded and said, "You took care of me materialistically, not where I needed it. I needed you to love me and put me first. I promised myself I wouldn't be with you anymore if you did that to me again. You lied to me and she never went away." So this is in August. From what we know, per Cassie's testimony, a few weeks later or a month or so later is when she testifies that Diddy raped her in her apartment. In September 2018, they had a conversation. In a snippet of the conversation, Diddy said, "You could date other people. Let's talk about it." So Cassie then writes, "I do love you. I would just prefer not to be one of your girlfriends." So again, another moment of her wanting to be the only one. "Let's get up tomorrow night. I'll do studio from 6 to 9. So Diddy then writes her and says, "Can I hold you or are you just going to break up with me?" She wrote back and says, "We can embrace, LOL," and wanted to hug him. The defense also then asked Cassie, did she hook up with Diddy that night? And she confirmed, yes, she did hook up with Diddy that night. But in a petty way, they then asked Cassie, "Do you remember your now husband, Alex Fine, calling you at the time that you were hooking up with Diddy?" And she confirmed, yes, Alex was calling her at the same exact time that she was hooking up with Diddy in September 2018. Why did y'all ask that lady that? She also testified that Alex punched a wall upon finding out that they hooked up that night. So by 2019 and 2020, Diddy is hitting her up via email and sending very gaslighting messages. Some of these messages include things like him saying, "Sending you my love. Congratulations, Cass. I'm so happy for you. You're going to make a beautiful mother." She's pregnant by this point. He's also saying things to her like, "I miss my best friend. Shit has definitely been rough without your friendship. You were with me throughout everything. You're my ride or die." All of this kind of stuff. Cassie is replying to some of these messages. I'm not going to lie. But she's saying things very light and she's being polite. So she's saying things like, "I'm sending you love and light. I wish you and your family the best. Thank you so much for your well wishes," things along these lines, right? So then he goes on to also say that he misses her. So she says, "I've never hated you. If it weren't for you, I would never be at this beautiful point in my life." And he is also going on and on and on Here's another part. I hope you can forgive me. We're honestly lucky to be alive. God was watching over us. We went hard. You think? He also told her that he was glad that she found somebody that loves her and respects her in the way that she deserves. And he asked to meet up with her. But they never did. Come back for part 2 so I can tell you about the end of Cassie's testimony, what Don Richard had to say about a Homeland Security officer who arrested Diddy, as well as an interesting settlement for $10 million that Cassie ended up getting, and some more things that we can look forward to as we move into week 2 of this trial. So until next time, I'm Amanda. Talk to me in the comments like y'all have been. We've been having such great conversation. Again, if y'all want these updates and you want to come straight to your phone, don't forget to follow us. See ya.
Okay, we are back with part 2 of day 5 of the Diddy trial. And at the end of Cassie's testimony, after the cross-examination was over by the defense, she was redirected now by the prosecution. And one of the interesting things that she told them was she felt as if her proximity to Diddy and her relationship with Diddy stunted her music career. Again, earlier, and I have a correction. We said that it was 9 albums. It was actually 10 albums that her deal was supposed to have with Bad Boy, and she only produced 3 albums. So she said that she was basically an S worker this entire time, and that actually happened to be stricken from the record. She also said that Diddy's negative moods affected how she felt about herself. She also told the prosecution if she could give the money back for all of the freak-offs to never happen, she wouldn't even take the money. She would just rather the freak-offs never had happened. A direct quote is, "I'd give that money back if I never had to have freak-offs." The prosecution also made sure to double down on Cassie's claim that Diddy raped her. Okay, so here was a direct quote. It says, "Do you have any doubt that Sean you?" And she said no. So she's 100% sure that that is what happened. Something else that came out towards the end of her testimony was that she recently reached a settlement of $10 million with the Intercontinental Hotel. So after her testimony, Cassie's attorney, Douglas Wigdor, released a statement from her as well as her husband, and I'll share a few lines from both of their statements. Some of Cassie's read, "This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering and healing for me. I hope that my testimony has given strength and a voice to other survivors and can help others who have suffered to speak up and also heal from abuse and fear. For me, the more I heal, the more I can remember. The more I can remember, the more I will never forget." She also thanks her family and other advocates for unwavering support and kindness. She ends this statement by asking for privacy as she puts this part of her life to rest because she is about to give birth to her 3rd child. So in Alex's statement, he's basically saying that he has watched his wife for the last 5 days and he's proud of her because she's been so brave. He also gives people a glimpse into what we've all wanted to know. How do you feel about hearing all of this stuff? He says, "I felt many things sitting here. I felt tremendous pride and overwhelming love for Cass. I felt profound anger that she has had to be subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So to him and to all of those who helped him along the way, please know this. You did not. You did not break her spirit nor her smile that lights up every room. You did not break the souls of a mother who gives the best hugs and plays the silliest games with our little girls. You did not break the woman who has made me a better man." He also ensured everybody else too. It's insulting to say that he saved Cassie because he said, "I in fact did not save Cassie. Cassie saved Cassie." He concluded by saying this horrific chapter is now forever put behind us and we will not be making any more statements about it. He's like, yeah, don't hit me up about it. We appreciate all of the love and support we have received, and we ask that you respect our privacy as we welcome our son into this world now that it is safer because of his mom. Okay, so after this, they had 2 witnesses. So you already know that one of them is Don Richard, and then the other one was Special Agent Yasin Binda. So Agent Binda confirmed that she handled the logistics of Diddy's arrest in September of 2024. She was in charge of searching the Park Hyatt where he was staying at the time before he was arrested. During this time, she took photos. That was her job. She took photos of his room. And some of the things that she found were interesting enough.
One of the items that she found was Astroglide, which I had to Google. When I Googled it, it's lubricant. Another thing that she found was Ziploc bags with bottles of Johnson & Johnson's baby oil. There were also several other bottles of Johnson & Johnson's baby oil found in the bathroom. If we know Diddy by now, then we recognize a pattern with the Johnson & Johnson's. That means freak off. Medication was also found in the room, and the prescription was made out to Frank Black. That is one of Diddy's aliases. Also, Frank White, which I mentioned in another video, is also one of his aliases. Bags of pink powder were also found in medication bottles inside of this room. And once they were tested, they came out to be ketamine and MDMA, which Cassie also testified were drugs of Diddy's choice. They also showed a fanny pack that Agent Benda waved around about $9,000 worth of cash that Diddy also had in the room at the time of his arrest. When Agent Benda was cross-examined, they also asked, did it appear that a woman might have been staying in the room? She confirmed, yes, there were items in the room that confirmed a woman was more than likely staying in the room with Diddy at the time of his arrest. So next up, who do we have? We have Dawn. I know this is what many of y'all have been waiting for all day. And of course, she came straight out the gate swinging. So Dawn testified that she worked for Diddy from 2004 to 2011. She said that she experienced Diddy abuse Cassie. The first time it was actually a kick, and she said that she experienced things like this multiple times. Here is a direct quote. He came downstairs screaming, belligerent, asking where his food was, and proceeded to hit her over the head and kicked her and beat her to the ground in front of us. The prosecution then goes on to ask her then what else happened. Dawn then says Sean Combs was kicking her in the head and body, then dragged her up to the first floor, glass breaking and yelling, "I was scared for her and me too." Then they asked, did you intervene? Dawn testifies, no, she did not. The prosecution also asked, did you call the police? Dawn says again, no. So Dawn says the next day that Diddy reassures them that it was fine. Cassie was okay. It was just a passionate thing that happened between the two of them, and that it was better off if they didn't talk about it, because that's how people end up missing. She then responds and says, death. P. Diddy's attorneys immediately call an objection, and then they have a sidebar. At this point, it's getting late in the day. It's about 4:30, and the judge is fed up. He dismisses the jurors and tells them, go watch a sports game. Have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday. He also dismisses Dawn as well, because now she has to come back on Monday. So during this sidebar, the judge is asking them, what's going on with this line of questioning? So the prosecution is now saying it has to do with count one. However, count one is sex trafficking. The prosecution says it deals with the consciousness of guilt for count one, as well as its relevancy to count one. However, Diddy's defense is now saying this has nothing to do with this. If anything, it's domestic violence, but it is not trafficking. So at this point, we're not even sure if this part of Dawn's testimony is even going to be admissible. The defense is also arguing Cassie never even brought up this incident in her testimony, so how are we going to talk about it now? But remember, I said that there was a lot of drama between the two attorneys' teams and the judge, because they are all trying to play slick. So this is what the judge said. He accused both parties of using lack of communication to their advantage. A direct quote, neither side raised this because they were trying to use these perceived ambiguities in a tactical way. I'm saying both sides. I'm not pointing any fingers. And the judge had already said that the defense had been dragging out Cassie's testimony and dragging out the witness statement because she had been up there for way too long. So as we look forward to next week, some of the witnesses we're not going to know. The prosecution does not want some of these witnesses divulged because they don't want witness tampering to happen. So what we do know is that attorney Tenny Gregorios of the defense said that she expects Cassie's former best friend, Carrie Morgan, to testify very soon, which could be next week. And she's testifying because they have some drama that has happened between Cassie, her, and Diddy. Cassie had testified that her and Morgan actually haven't spoken since an incident in 2018 when Diddy hit her over the head with a hanger, and Diddy actually had to pay her during this incident because she was like, what's going on? This incident was also referenced in Cassie's 2023 lawsuit. Okay, so we are now done with week 1 of the Diddy trial. Where are y'all heads at? What are y'all thinking? Let's talk in the comments. Now that Cassie's testimony is over, how are y'all feeling about that? I know that a lot of people are a little confused on how this has to deal with a RICO and how this kind of all ties in together. But remember, he is charged with several things. It's not just the racketeering, but also prostitution, sex trafficking. So there's a lot of groundwork that has to be laid here. But anyway, holla at me. Let's talk in the comments. Don't forget to send this video to your friends. Go back and watch prior videos if you're confused about anything that we've said today. And until next time, I'm Amanda. We'll be right back here next week to talk some more.